So can someone tell me where did we stop? Axonium shaft and all I finished. Axonium shaft I finished, man. Wait, let me check. Yeah, I think we were talking about cilia and flagella. We completed cilia. There is a video link which will be available to you for yesterday class. So please watch the video. I have asked the office to provide videos for you. So the recording for yesterday's class will be available. So people who missed yesterday's class, you can just see it. Okay. So yeah, we have completed axoneme. And then you need to know one more thing. The basal body has 9+0 arrangement of microtubules. So which means yesterday we studied there is a basal body and axoneme. In the basal body, here it is 9+2. Here it is only 9+0. Okay, so here it will be 9+0 arrangement. Just note down this point alone. If this point is done, we are done with microtubules. Okay. So if you have written that point, we can move on to the next part. Basal plate and rockets are. Basal plate is just an attachment. And the rocket is just an extension. So now we will move on to centrioles. So after microtubules, we saw about cilia and flagellum. And after flagellum, we are now moving on to the centrioles. Okay. So now we are moving to the centrioles. We'll write something about centrioles. So please take down centrosome, centrioles. Centrosome contains two cylindrical structures called as centrioles. Okay. The centriole is covered by two, not two, covered by amorphous pericentriolar materials. Okay. Centrioles are microtubular barrel shaped which occur in the form of two granules. They are also called as diplosomes. Okay, please take down this thing. Okay, so what I'm trying to tell is you have a structure which is called as centrosome. The centrosome will be like kind of a covered structure. So now this will contain two small cylindrical structures which are lying perpendicular to each other. Okay, so you will be seeing a structure like this. Okay, and then like you will see some kind of fluid kind of things which are like surrounding this thing. This is what we call it as pericentriolar material. What is this thing called as? This is called as centriole. And then what is this thing? This entire thing is called as centrosome. Centrosome contains two cylindrical structures called as centrioles. The centriole is covered by amorphous pericentriolar materials. What is the meaning of amorphous? Powdery. Centrosomes contain centrioles. Okay, so you are able to see this thing. So amorphous means powdery. The word amorphous here indicates powdery. There are two forms of structures. Amorphous is one thing, and the other one is what? Any idea? Amorphous is one form. The other form, any idea? It's not anamorphous, it's crystalline. You have substances are of two types, powdery or crystalline. You talk about salt. Salt is crystalline. Sugar is crystalline. Talcum powder is amorphous. Are we able to understand? So amorphous will not have a proper shape. Okay. Whereas if you are going to talk about crystalline will have a proper shape. So the next thing that you need to understand is centrioles are microtubular, barrel shaped. So you are able to see that this is like barrel shaped. Okay. Which occurs in the form of two granules. It is like occurring like two granules. It is very submicroscopic. If you're seeing a centrosome, no, inside this, inside a microscope, it is like, it will appear only like a granule, small granule. Okay. And since they are two in number, we call them as what? Diplosomes. Okay. So now I'm moving further. Okay. So you have, they occur only in animal cells, flagellated organisms. Some lower algae may contain centrioles. Usually, plant cells will not have centrioles. Plant cells do not contain centrioles. Okay, so you need to know about the structure. Okay, so I will not be able to draw the structure. I'll just show you the structure. So you have two centrioles, no? They will look like this. Just you are able to see here, what you are able to see is you are able to see that the microtubules are arranged like a triplet. So this is a microtubule, this is a microtubule, this is a microtubule. This three together we call it as a triplet. Okay, like this, how many triplets are you seeing? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 triplets are arranged in a spherical manner like this. Okay, so you are able to understand. So this is basically microtubule. Microtubules are arranged in a triplet structure, and they are arranged like a spherical form, which is like kind of like we call it as 9 triplets are there together. You have two ends are there. One is called as a proximal end. Okay, so basically what we try to see is whenever you are seeing this, you are able to see that these two are connected in one side. So that connected side is called as a proximal end. Okay, and then the far away side is called as the distal end. So if I'm going to talk about centrioles, so you have this is one side, and probably the other side is like this perpendicularly. So now these two becomes what? Proximal. And what happens to these two ends? Distal ends. Are you guys understanding? So they occur in the form of granules, repetitive point. They are perpendicular to each other. Okay, I'll not use mathematical symbols initially. The pericentriolar, what did I use? Pericentriolar materials are called kinoplasm or centrosphere. Okay, so please note that the pericentriolar material is also called as kinoplasm. Yeah, wait, I will give you the points. The other points I will try to give you. Just hang on. Okay, so now you continue writing. Each centriole is made up of 9 groups of microtubules arranged in a circle like wheel. Each microtubule triplet is tilted at 40-degree angle. The organization is 9 plus 0 with only tubules found in the periphery. They are made up of a protein. To each other, yes, there is a need for them. So I'll just explain why. Just the fifth one, the adjacent triplets if something is made up of microtubules, they will be made up of tubulin. It is tilted. The word is tilted. The adjacent triplets are connected by proteinaceous linker. Okay, so please take down this thing. What I have tried to tell you is, with this point we have already studied that there are 9 groups of microtubules arranged in a circle like a wheel. Okay, each microtubule triplet is tilted at 40 degrees. So you are able to see here they are all tilted. So this is 40 degree. Okay, so basically they are trying to tell that it is like in one side it is like kind of 40 degree. Maybe if you are taking this as the base, this is a 40 degree tilt. So similarly, if this is a base, this is a 40 degree tilt. So 40 degree they are tilted at each thing. And then what is the one more thing that you have to do? The organization is 9 plus 0. So there is nothing in the central. You see the central area is like not filled with tubules. Only tubules found in the periphery, nothing in the central. And then the adjacent triplets are connected by a proteinaceous linker. So which means like you're not able to see the linker here, but in this diagram you should be able to see. You're able to see here that this is a triplet. There is a linker here. This red line drawn here is the linker. Okay, so this is how it is arranged. So the connecting thing is what we call it as a linker. Someone is asking for third slide. I have used 4 slides together. Hey, what man? Now itself a second slide, please, sir. Third slide, please, sir. And in the end, also, you will ask me to do 10 times. Second, third, fourth. There is nothing called as a proteinaceous. Okay, this proteinaceous linker is called as hubban kekranga. Hub is a like normal usual word. Okay, so what they are trying to tell is you see here, this is a centriole. Okay, okay, like let me just show it in a different way. Okay, this diagram I'll try to show. You have a triplet here. Okay, and then you have a triplet here. This is interconnected with the thing. This is going to be interconnected with the next thing. I'm not in a mood to draw today. So let us say that this is interconnected with one more thing. So basically what you see here is like this is one thing, this is one thing, this is one thing, this is one thing, like this. You're like having this 9 things. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 only is there. Okay, like let me draw you one more thing. Okay. So now what will happen is this interconnecting proteins, no, they will be seen in the center. So they'll be connecting, but this central area is like filled with this interconnecting proteins. So this is called as the hub. So what will happen is like all these things are like, okay, let me see if I can show you a diagram. So this interconnecting fibers you see here in this diagram, you are able to see this is the interconnecting fibers, that proteinaceous layer. But all those things are inside. If you see here, it will be like looking like a small interconnecting fibers will be there. It will be like held together. This is called as the hub. The green color line here is called as the hub here. The proteinaceous link, it is basically, there is this proteinaceous linker. All these proteinaceous linkers are joined together, which we call it as hub, HUB. Okay, in this diagram, I think you are able to see it. Here you are able to see this thing. This is the blue color. The blue color thing, you are able to see it here. So that is the interconnecting proteinaceous layer, which is all joined together in the center. The center is called as hub, HUB. The proteinaceous layers joined together in this to form hub. A hub. A hub means what? Hub is a place where like things meet. Okay, so now coming to the functions. So centrioles are the microtubules organizing structure. Or centers during the cell division. They replicate and then they act as basal at the base of cilia and flagella. Okay. So these two are the functions of centriole. Okay. So what is the structure? What is the role of the centriole? I'll just try to explain. So say for example, whenever cell division is there, no, whenever cells are going to divide, in such a case, the centriole will be here. Here also there will be a centriole. As in like here there will be a plan. Here there will be a pair of centrioles will be there. I told you that they have to be perpendicular. Okay. So one of them will be like this and the other one will be like this. Okay. So here also what will happen is it will be like this, perpendicular to each other. So from here, what they will try to do is they will try to send some microtubules here, which will form what we call it as the spindle fibers. Like this, it will try to form. Okay, this microtubule will be growing like this. And what will happen is they will be helping in the cell division. So what is this spindle fiber? What is the role of spindle fibers? It is used to separate the chromosome. So let us say that there is a chromosome here. When one cell is going to divide into two, okay, first of all, the nucleus is there. What will happen is, let us say that the cell will become like this. Let us say that the chromosome is going to be like this. This is the chromosome along with its duplicate. So now what will happen? These two things have to be separated. So how will they be separated? So let us say that these two have to be separated. So the spindle fibers will come and attach here. This spindle fibers will come and attach here. So this will try to pull it in this direction. This will try to pull it in that direction. And ultimately, what will happen is during mitosis, your chromosome will be moving away from each other. Okay, so during mitosis or meiosis, what will happen? This chromosome has to be separated. So who is responsible for the separation? The spindle fiber. So where is this spindle fiber is originating from? It is originating from the centriole. We'll talk about the division of chromosomes and all later. We don't know the structure of chromosomes yet. I'm just trying to tell you that what is the role of centriole here. Okay, let us just stick to it. If I'm going to start, I'll have to teach the next chapter, whole chapter also. I don't intend to complete the two chapters at one time. Let us now stay focused only with centrioles. What is the role of centriole? Centriole is acting as what? Microtubule organizing structure or center. Okay, this is the place where these microtubules are there organized. So initially it is like this. It is like kind of packed. After some time, what will happen? From here, small strands will start to come out. After sometimes, if you see here, what will happen? They will start to grow. It is like kind of a, what to say, something noolkand. You have a yarn, okay? You have the thread, which is all packed inside. Suddenly, you are like trying to take it out from that particular box. Have you ever seen spring and all coming in a box? In that particular way, you can just like pull it out. The strings can be pulled out. So in the same way, the same thing will happen. Have you seen a measuring tape? A measuring tape will have the tape inside packed neatly. Whenever you want, you can pull it out. In the same way, these spindle fibers are all organized inside where? Inside the microtubules. So they will be acting as a place where all these microtubules are organized. Microtubules organizing structure or center. Whenever you want, you take the microtubules out. Okay, so it will help during cell division. And the other role is that you have a cilia. Let us say that there is a cilia here. Okay, there is a basal body here. Who is the basal body? The basal body is centriole. Centriole will act as the basal body, which means flagella. Let us say that there is a flagella which is organized coming from here. So this flagella will have a basal body. Who is this basal body? The basal body is centriole. Are you guys able to understand the 2 points here? Centrioles are microtubules organizing structures during cell division, and they act as the basal body of flagella or cilia. So these two are the functions. Okay, please take this thing down. Are you guys done? Yes, next chapter is I'll do cell division. Okay, so if you guys are done, we can move on further. Okay, now there is a question for you here. Okay, plant cells are not containing this particular centrioles. Then how do they divide? Plant cell do not have centrioles. So if centriole is playing a major role in cell division, how they will divide? Meristematic tissues, the question is how they are formed. Because centriole is absent in plant cell. My question is, this is going to be playing a major role in cell division. If centriole is absent, who will do that function? Whatever role that centriole plays, okay, plant cells will have a different kind of organizing structure. Okay, the spindle fibers are there, are organized again in a structure which is called as a microtubule organizing center, which is very distinct from centrioles. That's all. They will also look like small No, it's not Golgi bodies and all. Okay, spindle fibers are formed different from centriole. So spindle fibers are to form. So there is something called as a microtubule organizing structure or center, which will be doing the work here, work there. In animal cells, centrioles are doing similar to centriole. There is a part, but it is not like very prominent. It's just a random group of fibers which do the division. Okay, sixth slide. Cell plate formation and all is in the later stage. Cell wall doing the thing first, karyokinesis has to happen. Okay, you guys will not understand it if I'm going to tell. So let me complete the next chapter and ask the same question. Okay, so with this thing we are done with this part, centriole. Now we will move on to the next part, microbodies. Nucleus I have to do, but I will not have time to complete nucleus. So tomorrow's class we will exclusively uh, donate it for nucleus. So now we'll complete microbodies. So I can complete microbodies in say like 3-4 minutes. So we can continue with microbodies. Tomorrow's class will be fully on nucleus, and tomorrow we might be completing this chapter. Okay. So microbodies, they are spherical or oval vesicles bound by single membrane. They consist of various enzymes. They are involved in respiration. So microbodies is of two types. Peroxisomes, and the other one is called as glyoxysomes. Okay, so they are all small vesicles that you will see, small bodies. These things will contain what? They will contain enzymes. There is a membrane, single membrane, which is covering it. And what is the role of it? They are involved in respiration. You have two things. One is peroxisomes. The other one is glyoxysomes. So now we'll try to study what is peroxisomes and glyoxysomes. Okay, so now we'll move on. What is peroxisomes? They contain enzymes such as catalase. Okay, so they are involved in peroxide synthesis. Biosynthesis. So it is a biological method in which they will produce something called as peroxide. Okay. So they convert H2O2, hydrogen peroxide, into water. They are the fastest acting enzyme. Okay, so what you need to know is like whenever respiration is happening in our body. So say for example, glucose is converted into pyruvate and pyruvate is converted into carbon dioxide and water. We know only that water is formed. But before water is formed, this hydrogen peroxide is formed, first of all. But this hydrogen peroxide is poisonous to us. So which means this hydrogen peroxide which is formed will have to be converted quickly into water. So this is done by catalase. Where is this catalase is present? This catalase is present inside the peroxisomes. So what it will try to do is it will try to basically split this hydrogen peroxide which is formed into peroxide and water, oxygen free radicals. Okay, and then like what will happen is this chemical reaction will happen. So since this chemical reaction is like kind of like happening, we call them as peroxisomes. So since this is having catalase and it is involved in this peroxide biosynthesis, we call them as what? We call them as peroxisomes. Okay, and then the next one and the last one is glyoxysomes. They occur in fat rich plant cells. They convert fat into carbohydrates. They convert lipids into sucrose in castor seeds. So basically, this is also having some enzymes that will help to convert what into what? Fats into carbohydrates. Okay, so those oxalate, they are involved in glyoxylate cycle. So the enzymes here are involved in glyoxylate cycle, so we call them as what? Glyoxysomes. Okay, so you will see glyoxysomes only in fat-rich plant cells. They'll convert fat into carbohydrate. So in castor seeds, you can see this. So what they will try to do is they'll try to convert all the fat into sucrose, which is a sugar carbohydrate, through a cycle which is called as glyoxylate cycle. So since it is taking part in glyoxylate cycle, we call them as glyoxysomes. Okay. So someone is asking what essentially breakers of peroxide to water. So isn't the functions. It is breaking peroxide into water, yes. And what are they forming? They are forming water and then like they are forming peroxides separately. Somes means body. Eighth slide. Okay, with this thing we are completing microbodies also. Microbodies is over. So now we'll move on to all the slides. Tomorrow. So first slide, second slide, third slide, fourth slide. Yes, it is possible to convert fat cells into glucose in your liver cells. We call that as a gluconeogenesis. Fifth slide, sixth slide, seventh slide, eighth slide, ninth slide. Okay. Thank you, children. Sir, class mode.